Hello guys, I am Jay Caliber, and in this TF2 video I am going to explain at least my thought. I mean, you might agree, you might disagree, it's completely up to you, everyone's got their own views, but how I think trading will kind of not drastically change over the 2019-2020 kind of period, and the steps that if I personally was a bit more invested into TF2 trading like I used to be, I think my inventory used to be worth about, this isn't me trying to like get any like boasting points or anything, but it used to be about $2,500, which if I'm being totally honest is just sad. But it used to be worth that much, and now I think it's down to like 750 just because of the way that items devalued after some bad updates. But I was always really into my TF2 trading, and I think if I was still as invested as I am, I always keep an eye on it, then these would kind of be like how I would assume that the community would change, and how obviously the votes on things like backpack.tf will impact trading prices and key rates for all of these items. So firstly, unusuals. Unusual prices are actually not as bad as I thought they'd be after the whole crate apocalypse thing, crate depression, that whole thing in I think it was August this year. It didn't turn out quite as bad. It was like the day that it happened, that was brutal. But other than that, they haven't been too bad. And in terms of like hats and effects that have come out been unboxed at least over the spooky season of Halloween, there's actually been some really cool ones. Like there's the prices of like the effect Hellfire and Scorching Flames. What's the other one? Demon Flame. They're all actually maintaining quite a good trade value, and some of them are even going up in value just because first time we've seen some of them, and they're that rare. And some of these traders that do own quite limited hats, if there's 7 of them, then some of them are owned by people that never intend to trade them, and there's only maybe 1 or 2 of them that are actually in the kind of trading pit, if you get what I mean. So it's kind of looking quite good for your spooky effects, and I definitely would say if I was looking at getting an unusual effect and I was like, okay, I really don't want it to drop in value, you'd obviously, without going into like really expensive burning effects and stuff like that. I mean, I've got like a Sunbeams hat, and that's always been quite a safe bet ever since I got it. I created it. But things like Halloween effects are actually quite a good bet, because obviously after the spooky season is over and the 30-day, I think it's about 30 days, the trade embargo on that item being uncreated is over, you can actually get quite a good image of how the value of that item is going to be for quite a while, because after it becomes tradable, well, no one else can get them, so you don't really know how popular it is until after that period. And because you can't get any more of them, they're always quite a safe bet, these spooky effects. As well, I'd also say if you had maybe some unusuals and you were potentially going to go, okay, I got like 2 or 3 really like low tier unusuals, not distant unusuals. If you like them, then you like them, but like Nuts and Bolts, Dead President, Swarm of Flies, things like that. If you had some of them, I'd actually look at turning them into Australian weapons, because Australian weapons, even if there's like a rapid change to the weapons stats, such as I'll tell you a quick story. I invested in Australian max extinguishers. I bought 12 of them. When the update for the change of the stats, I can't even remember when it is, but when they changed the stats back so that it's half usable, so it mini crits and stuff like that, and crits from the back. When I saw that was a potential change to the extinguisher, I bought 12 of them, expecting that it'd be quite popular again. Can't wait for that to change. And then it wasn't quite as popular because the power jet's still kind of supreme for the pyro. And the value did go up slightly, but it wasn't enough for it to have been worth me sourcing 12 Australian matte extinguishers for the price that I wanted them at. But that's what I'm saying, they are quite a safe bet, even with radical stat changes. If someone absolutely nerfed the Tomislav tomorrow just in a random TF2 update, you'd probably find that it still holds most of its value, because whether a weapon's popular or not kind of isn't the gimmick with Australians. It's about kind of like the Lamborghini effect, isn't it? You just want everyone to look at you, kind of thing. But I'd definitely say that if you wanted to convert your rather it's your keys, or you've got some unusuals that you're really not fussed about, you've got like 5 soldier unusuals and you only want to wear the one, then I'd actually say like getting an Australian weapon or a few Australian weapons converted from that would actually be quite a safe bet, if I'm being totally honest with you. Apart from that, I would probably advise trying to stay away from unusual taunts, because unusual taunts have always been just like an up and down kind of thing. No one's that fussed about them, you know. An unusual hat, you see it all the time. Whether you're like super into them or not is personal opinions and whatnot, but an unusual taunt is so like such a finite amount of time that you have to actually use that taunt before dying that most people won't even see the effect by the time you've been wiped out. It's only really your team in the weight room that you actually get to show it off. So they're really not that popular. I'd even if you could see yours going up in value, or one going down in value, and you go, well, that's actually quite cheap. Now, if I got that and waited, it'd probably go up in value later on. I'd actually probably try and avoid that, because I just don't think they ever really perk back up again. Some of them become worth quite a bit because it's a really rare effect. I mean, like they're all effects that you can't get anywhere else other than on taunts, but they just don't really hold any value. So I'd definitely say for 2020, 2019, I'd avoid going anywhere near your unusual taunts. I just don't think they're a very safe bet. I have one myself, and the value of it has changed. At one point, it was like 8 keys, and then at one point it was 14 keys, and I went back down to 6, and I was like, I uncreated it. I'm actually not bothered how much it's worth, so I don't really keep up with the value of taunts. But I do think it's quite a risky business. You either get really lucky or really unlucky, and it's completely random. You can't really project and see how it's going to turn out. Other than that, I don't actually think there'll be any new crates for TF2 this year. I speculate that there'll be an October one for 2020, because so far as I'm making this video, it's the 8th of December 2019, and so far there's no December crate come out. But usually the December crate's like days before TF it gets an update anyway. And with TF2 being on pause at this current moment, I see it very unlikely being that a crate will come out unless they feel like going for another splash of cash to just help with funding for, not that they really need it, but just give them a bit more money for the end of the quarter or something like that. Other than that, I can't see one being in summer. I could probably see one in October, because by the time a year's gone by with quite literally no news of an update coming out, you probably find quite a few players might have stepped away from TF2, and Valve will probably try and release a crate and a minor patch update to try and bring some old players back potentially. Apart from that, I don't think there'll be many changes to things like that unless they recreate the effect of the crate depression in the end of August again in 2020, which if they do, I think people would be so mad. It'd be unreal, it'd be horrific. Apart from that, I'd say avoid unusual taunts. Halloween unusual effects are definitely a safe bet, if you ask me at least. Australian weapons are quite a very safe kind of play if that's how you want to play it. And apart from that, it's kind of all my advice for 2020 trading. I've been J Caliber. This week's shout out goes to our new subscriber Shockfire101, who subscribed a day ago from me doing this voice recording. I've been J Caliber. Check out my Twitter and my Discord in the description below, because I'm actually using the Discord because I've decided that it's one of my goals that I need to do before the end of the year. I need to start using it more, and I have been. I've been J Caliber, and I'll catch you next week for next week's TF2 video. Adios.